All right, so in this video, I want to go over 10 of my top dispute letter secrets, and I want to talk from the perspective if you are helping others improve their credit score, right? So this is for if you're running a company and you're helping other people improve their credit score. I'm going to show you my top 10 dispute letter secrets to get that done. All right, so the first thing we want, before we get started in my top 10 secrets, the first thing I want to talk to you about is this free training that I want to give you guys. I want to give you some free training, and that free training is how to start your own credit biz. This is free training, and all you have to do is click the link right below this video. I'm going to give you some step-by-step training on how to start your own credit biz. So that's what I want to give you for absolutely free. So let's get right into it. All right, so the first question or the first tip that a lot of people ask me is, how many items should I dispute on a credit report? Now, I get this a lot. How many items should I dispute for my customer on a credit report? So this comes a lot. Now, the answer to that is it depends, right? Like there's really no certain number that you should dispute on behalf of your customer. It depends on what your customer says to you, and it also depends on how many inaccurate accounts that's on the credit report. So if you have 30 inaccurate accounts on the credit report, and your customer tells you that 30 of those accounts are inaccurate, so then you're going to dispute all 30 of those accounts. You're not going to dispute 5 or 4. And don't worry about a frivolous letter that's coming from the credit bureau. You want to do justice for your customer, right? And you don't want to just focus on just 5 accounts. You want to pinpoint all of the inaccurate information on the credit report, and then you dispute based on that. All right. So let's go to the second one. How detailed should the letter be? Like when you're preparing a letter for your customer, the question is, how detailed should that letter be? So this is a question that a lot of people ask, is when I'm preparing a dispute letter for my customer, like how detailed? Well, it really depends, right? It really depends on what you're trying to achieve with the particular letter. If you're sending out a first round letter to the credit bureaus, then you just make the letter as detailed as it needs to be, right? You make it as detailed as it needs to be, and it has to have all of the elements in the letter that will properly communicate with the credit bureau. So it needs to have all of the key elements in the letter that will properly communicate to the credit bureau what it is that you're disputing. What do you want the credit bureau to do? So there's no such thing as how detailed or how little the letter should be. You just got to make sure it has all of the necessary information in the actual letter, so the credit bureau can complete their initial investigations. All right. So that's very, very important. All right. So what items should I dispute first, right? So I get this a lot. What items should I dispute first on the credit report? So here's the thing. Again, after you talk to your customer is going to tell you which items are inaccurate and which items are not. So you want to go after items that has the most damage on your customer's credit report. So any inaccurate items that has the most damage, right? Those are the items that you want to go after first. So if there's a bankruptcy and that bankruptcy is inaccurate and there's problems with the bankruptcy, of course you want to go after the bankruptcy first, because it has a tremendous amount of damage to your customer's credit report. So just determine exactly what has the most impact on your customer's credit report, and then those are the items that you want to dispute first, versus items that do not have the most impact on the credit report. Okay. So what is the 24-month rule? So the 24-month rule is basically this. According to FICO, any inaccurate account that's negative on a credit report within the first 24 months from today has the most damage on a credit report. So that's what's called the 24-month rule. So when you look at your customer's credit report, you're going to say to yourself, which inaccurate items are the most recent? Which ones are within 24 months of today? And those are the ones that you're going to put in the dispute letters. Those are the ones that you're going to go after because, like I said, according to FICO, any accounts that's within the first 24 months of today will have the most damage on the credit report. So you want to identify those accounts, talk to your customer, and dispute all of the inaccurate information within the first 24 months from today. Okay. All right. So what should I know about the statute of limitations? So first of all, let me tell you, what is the statute of limitations? So basically the creditors, the state, each state has a certain amount of time where a creditor or a collector can sue your customer in court. So you need to know what is that statute of limitation for the particular state for your particular customer. The reason why I'm saying that, because if you dispute something that's over $3,000, right, and it's within the statute of limitation, the creditor can actually sue your customer for trying to remove inaccurate information off of the credit report because it's still within the statute of limitations of the creditor or the collector suing your customer. So you have to be super careful on which accounts that you're going to decide to challenge, and you have to make a decision on the amount, right? So if you get something that's open and that has a $6,000 or $7,000 balance and it's within the statute of limitations, so you probably want to think twice on whether you should go after that account or not. And if it's truly inaccurate, then yeah, you should go after the account if it's truly inaccurate. But just remember that it's within the statute of limitations on when the creditor can come after your customer. And if you awaken the giant, then there's a possibility that the creditor or the collector could sue your customer simply for you just disputing the account. So be careful with that. All right, so what if my letter comes back verified? So we get this a lot, right? I'm pretty sure a lot of you guys have seen that before. If you're working to help others improve their credit, you're getting verified letters back. That basically means that the credit bureau did their investigation, and then after they did their investigation, the creditor said that the information that the credit bureau sent over to the creditor is verified. It's correct. So when you get that, there's multiple things you can do to respond back to a verified letter. But to keep it short, so the first thing you want to do if you get a verified account, you want to draft a second dispute letter. And this time you want to find something new that's inaccurate on the credit report. So something new that's inaccurate, wrong, or misleading or incomplete for that particular account that the credit bureau verified. So you draft a new letter and you create new and relevant information that you can send to the credit bureau. Now, if the information is not new and relevant, or it's not different from what you sent before, you're just going to simply get a frivolous letter from the credit bureau. So again, like I said, there's multiple ways to respond to verified accounts, but that's one popular way that you can do that. Now, remember, when you're responding back to the credit bureau on the verified, you want to find something different in the account that's inaccurate, misleading, or incomplete. And then you draft a new letter and you send that letter in response to the verified account. Okay. All right. So what is a stall letter? Now, stall letters are notorious from credit bureaus. They send them all the time. Whether you are working on a customer's credit report or whether you are working on your own credit report, you're going to get these stall letters. So you need to know how to respond to the stall letters. Look, I put together a guide inside of the Client Dispute Manager where there's over 15 ways to respond to stall letters. Now, what are stall letters? They're simply ways for the credit bureau to stall your disputing. Okay, they install the investigation. So they stall you by sending you one of these letters like this. Take a look at it. This is from Experian. They stall you by sending, they say stuff like, you know, we're not going to investigate this. We think you're working with a credit repair company. We think these your disputes are frivolous. We've already investigated it. These is what we call stall letters. So when you get a stall letter, right, depending on what they say in the letter, you always want to respond back to the credit bureau. And you pretty much want to provide them with additional proof of verification, ID, a copy of your social, copy of your address, and make sure that your license, make sure your customer's license matches the utility bill or the credit card bill or whatever proof of address that you send it in. And you want to tell the credit bureau, you just want to respond to them and just say, look, don't violate the law. I know this is a stall letter. I know you're stalling me, but please don't violate the law and continue investigating my dispute. Okay. So this is a new letter that you want to draft to the credit bureau. And let me tell you what they do. Even though they send you a stall letter, most credit bureaus are still investigating. So don't give up hope there, right? So just draft a different letter that will counter that stall letter and tell the credit bureaus that you believe that they're violating your rights by sending these stall letters and to continue investigating this particular dispute. Now, inside of the client dispute manager, we have a section with many different responses to the stall letters, right? So if you're working to fix someone else's credit and you're using the client dispute manager software, just go to the stall letter section and there's multiple letters that you can use to respond to the credit bureau stall letters. Okay. All right. All right. So should I sign the letter or not? Right. So this is a common question that we get. And, the answer is, if you're trying to work on someone else's credit, right, and you're fixing someone else's credit, of course, you're not gonna sign the letter, right, and you're not gonna send the letter to the customer to sign the letter, right. So it doesn't really matter if you're working to fix someone else's credit. When I was running the business, I didn't have my customers sign any of the letters, right, and I sent it to the credit bureau, and I still got good results because the information was inaccurate. Right. So it doesn't really matter whether the letter is signed or not, because the credit bureau will still send frivolous letters. They will still conduct their investigation as normal. Now, the only time that you would sign a letter is if you feel like you have a case and you need to send this case to a lawyer. And then what will happen is that the lawyer will send the letter to your customer, and then your customer will sign the letter and send it to the credit bureau. So that's really the only time you would sign a letter, but it's not mandatory. Like, I don't see any results that's different by signing the letter versus not signing a letter. And this is based off a decade of experience. Okay. All right. So what about notarized versus certified mail? So this is another thing that's surfacing in the industry. Should I notarize my letter? Should I send my letter certified mail? Hey, look, if you got a lot of customers, right? If you have a lot of customers, are you going to notarize every single letter that goes out? And does it even make any difference? Like, notarizing the letter doesn't really make a difference on whether the credit bureaus investigate. Look, the credit bureaus have to investigate anyways, whether you notarize it or not. They still are duty bound by the law to investigate any dispute that you send on behalf of your customer. So notary and certified mail, all it does, it tells you that the credit bureau, notary is just saying that, look, this person notarized this letter, right? So if you're going to notarize a letter, you got to remember, you got to let the customer see the letter, right? You can't just go to a notary on your own, right? The customer has to be there with their ID and everything, and they have to notarize that whatever's in that letter is true. Okay. So why would you waste your time doing that? Do you think that's going to make a difference in the credit bureau investigating? Not really, right? And certified mail, on the other hand, certified mail would just give you tracking that your letter arrived to the credit bureau's office. But again, that is not even bulletproof either, because we don't know what was in the letter. All it says is that you sent something to the credit bureau and that it arrived, right? So we don't know even if your letter was even in that letter, even in that envelope that was sent to the credit bureau. So the only time that I recommend that you send something certified mail is if you feel that the collection agency is violating your customer's rights, right? Strict violation, and you're about to turn this over to a lawyer. Then at that point, you want some tracking that you've been communicating back and forth with the collection agency, and they're still violating your customer's rights. Okay. All right. Now, how do you stop a debt collector? Like, how do you stop a debt collection account from hitting your customer's credit report, right? Now we're talking about like the debt collection account is not even on your customer's credit report yet, but your customer called you up and said that the collection agency is calling them and saying that they owe money, but that debt is not on their credit report yet. So how do you do that? Like, how do you stop it? So the first thing you want to do is you want to tell the customer, your customer, to send a copy of this debt dunning letter that the collection agency sent them. Now, once you get that letter, immediately you need to send a debt validation letter out to the collection agency, asking the collection agency for proof of debt. Now, this is the only way you're going to stop a collection account from hitting your customer's credit report. Now, look, if your customer does not communicate with you and they don't send you the letter, because you only got 30 days, right? The clock is ticking. And if the customer does not send you the letter like you request, then let me tell you something, 9 times out of 10, that collection account is going to hit your customer's credit report and it's going to damage it even further. So it's very important, if you are working on somebody's credit report, it's very important that you communicate with your customer and tell them, look, any communication that comes from a debt collector, make sure that you send that to me right away. Hey, like I said before, I want to give you some free training on how to start your own credit biz. Absolutely free, step by step. You're going to love it. And all you have to do is click the link right below this video to get your free training. And look, I'm so glad. I hope you enjoyed these 10 secrets. Please watch this video again. This is coming from all of my experience on working in the credit industry and also owning a software and helping business owners. Until then, I'll see you the next time.